So what's the smartest way to grow your money? I get asked this question quite a number of times, and in today's episode, I am going to be sharing some insights and tips on how exactly you can go about growing your money. And that's a very important thing to know, because ultimately you cannot get to financial freedom if you are not able to grow your money. My name is Susan Wanjiko. Welcome to another episode of Finance Friday. So if you want to be smart about growing your money, I want to share with you 3 things that I believe are absolutely foundational when it comes to your journey to financial freedom. Now, we talk a lot about financial freedom and building wealth. And if you've already been on this journey long enough, you know that most of the financial concepts sometimes feel easier said than done, either because of one reason or the other. And so today I want to make it very simple, very practical, and very digestible in such a way that some of the tips that I'm going to be sharing with you, you could actually sit down and look at your personal finance journey and start seeing, okay, in this particular order, or in which particular order would I want to approach my journey towards financial freedom. All right. And so the first thing that I love to tell people is that you have to make money. Yeah, because you cannot grow money that you do not have. I know that sounds almost obvious, but I've always loved to tell people, so every time when I am either interacting with people on social media or I'm talking to my clients, one of the things that I have come to establish is that most of us are very focused on our expenses. We are very focused on how we are spending our money. But I find that a very minimal percentage of people actually focus on the income aspect of it. And there's something that I love to say time and time again, that one source of income is too close to none. Like, if I only have one source of income today, I am at risk just by the mere fact that I have only one source of income. Because if my employer today, or if my business, or wherever it is that my money comes from, and that well dries up, then that means that I have nothing to my name. I have no income and I have no way of meeting my day-to-day needs. And so I tell people, when you're starting your journey to financial freedom, I know we all want to be excited about saving and investing and growing wealth, but you need to take seriously also where your money is coming from and how you're making an income. Now, I don't say that there's something wrong with watching your expenses. I mean, I'm an advocate of frugal living. I'm an advocate of living below your means, but that is always more of a short-term fix. It's always going to get you started, but it's not going to sustain you in the long term, because a higher income is more powerful than low expenses in the long run. Okay, both of them are instrumental, both of them are foundational, but you want to combine like low expenses and low income, and also increasing your sources of your low expenses, you want to combine that with increasing your sources of income as well. And I'm not saying that this is something that you must figure out before you start growing your wealth. What I'm saying is that it is something that you need to take seriously and to constantly be on the lookout for how you can improve your sources of, increase your sources of income, and how you can be able to just have a larger pot, because there's always going to be expenses demanding more money from you. And as long as you're caught up just living paycheck to paycheck and trying to meet expenses, you will actually never grow that money, because you're spending all the money that you are making. And so one of the things that I will also like to mention is that it is important that you allow yourself the privilege to be a beginner in your personal finance journey. I know there's so much pressure around us, because there are people who are making crazy investments, they're saving, and maybe you're at the point in your financial journey where you feel, yo, I don't even have this money to save. I don't even have this money to invest, leave alone, like I cannot even focus on growing money because I actually do not have money. And I want to affirm and to validate that it is okay, because that is step number 1 to growing your money. actually making the money. So find avenues to make money, and remember that it's not always about I know this is a very unpopular opinion, but every time people are looking for avenues or sources of income, we are really fixated on you know, but I'm not passionate about this thing, or I'm not talented in this thing. There are seasons and times in your life you're going to find yourself doing something that you probably do not completely enjoy, or something that you don't feel like you draw any purpose or value from it, but that season demands that you actually do that thing. I remember when I was in the first maybe couple of months of trying to launch my business and to try get clientele, I used to do academic writing, and I mean, I absolutely hated it. But then on the flip side of things, I knew that, I mean, I need to build this business. I don't have clients yet. I've not even established proof of concept. I'm still trying to get my name out there. This cannot pay the bills. And that was a fact. That was reality, that it could not pay the bills. And so while I was working on building the Legacy Hub Kenya, while I was coaching people for free so that I can get testimonials and just trying to get my name out there was something that I was doing on the side, which I particularly did not enjoy, that would give me a couple of extra bucks here and there to just help me sustain myself. And then with time, when my business actually started making some income that, you know, would I ideally start replacing some of the money that I needed for my day-to-day bills, my day-to-day expenses and all those things, then I was able to ditch this thing that I was doing out of necessity, and then I started focusing on building my business. So what am I trying to say? I'm trying to say that it's not all the time that you're going to get an income because you got your dream job. It's not always that you will get an income because you're working on something you're super passionate about. Sometimes you're actually going to start doing something, and probably passion and purpose will find you along the way as you try to attempt different kinds of things. So I always love to encourage everyone I talk to when it comes to looking for avenues to make money, especially in an environment or in an economy where it's becoming increasingly difficult to secure jobs. You're sending applications. What I would say is think out of the box, because we cannot talk about financial freedom and talk about wealth building and investing, no matter how little the amount you want to invest with is, if you do not have an income source. So whether that is informal or formal, whether you enjoy it or not. Now, I'm not saying that also you end up doing a job that would affect your health or your mental health or your principles and values. But what I'm saying is that allow yourself the luxury and the privilege of being a beginner. Like, you will do something for 6 months, maybe it doesn't work out, you try something else. And in the process of trying out different things and thinking out of the box and exposing yourself to different sectors of the market and different gigs here and there, you will actually find what works for you. And so what I'm trying to say is that before you start thinking saving, investing, or if you're already in a position where, like, you know for a fact, I have cut my expenses to the very bare minimum that I can cut them to, but I still don't have enough money left to save and to invest, and so I'm living in a vicious cycle of living paycheck to paycheck, I would want to encourage you that, I mean, drop all this hype. You don't need to be saving right now if you don't have money to save. I feel like most of your focus or most of your attention and your energies should go towards generating income in the first place. So that's what I would say. That's the first step to anything financial. You actually have to make money. All right. Another thing, the second thing that is very pivotal when it comes to being smart about growing your money is, after you've started making money, you actually need to keep money. So we've said make money, and now we are saying you need to keep some of the money that you're actually making, which is why we need to increase our sources of income in the first place. Now, why do we need to keep money? We need to keep money for different functions. And if you want to be smart about ways in which you can grow and multiply your money, then you have to keep money for these purposes. The most obvious reason why you need to keep some of the money that you make is because you need to actually pay your bills, right? So if I earn 50,000, it is absurd if I end up actually spending all that 50,000 just merely paying for my bills and my expenses. What does that ideally say? That I have nothing left to save, right? And so if I was ever in debt, I have nothing left to pay debt. If I have projects coming up or school fees coming up, I have nothing left to save up for that. If I don't have an emergency fund, I have nothing left to also save up for that as well. And so when an emergency comes, again, I'm literally one emergency away from a financial crisis. And so it is important for you to prioritize. After you've started making money, probably the most important thing you need to prioritize is saving a bit of that money. All right. And so that brings me to one of the most amazing budgeting rule of thumbs that I know of, and that is the 50-30-20 budgeting rule. And it gives you a very good blueprint, or at least a guide of how you can go about your savings. All right, because the 50-30-20 budgeting rule dictates that of all the money that I make, my net salary, 50% of it should cater to mandatory bills and expenses. 30%, I personally use it to pay my debt, investments and savings, and then the remaining 20 is what handles wants, leisure, giving, and miscellaneous costs. All right. Now, why the 50-30-20 budgeting rule is important when it comes to determining how much money you need to keep for yourself is because it gives you a very good platform to analyze whether you are actually living within your means. Because if I earn 50,000 and 90% of my income is actually going to pay my mandatory bills and expenses, that is a sign or an indication that I'm living above my means. So if you're watching me right now, I want you to just take your calculator. You can even pause the video and just find out, like, if you can do it real quick, or if you already have a working budget, how much of the percentage of what you earn, either from your salary or your income, goes towards bills. How much of it? That will, I mean, if you can establish the percentage of your money that goes towards your bills, then you can be able to identify where some of the loopholes are. Okay, some other things you can look into is probably, like, a good example is rent. Most financial consultants will advise that your rent shouldn't exceed 25 to 30% of your net income. So again, you can take your calculator right now and maybe try calculate. I mean, this house, exactly how much of my salary is going towards payment of maybe your rent or your mortgage payments. If at all we are talking 30% and above, then unfortunately you could be living in a house that you cannot afford or sustain in the long term. Because if more than 30% of your income is going to just rent alone, if we add the rest of the bills, plus you need savings, then you almost have nothing left. So it is very important for you to organize your finances in such a way that you start ensuring that you're keeping some of the money that you're making. If I'm making 50,000, I need to at least ensure that on the bare minimum, I retain maybe 10 to 15,000 to be able to get me started, or to get the ball rolling towards me saving and investing, so that I can grow my money in the long term. Remember, we said that you cannot grow money that you do not have. Okay, another reason why you need to keep some of the money that you're making is that there's more to life than actually paying bills. If you are in debt, you know that you need to get out of debt, to pay off your debt and to get out of debt. If you do not have an emergency fund, that's a big reason why you need to keep some of the money that you're making, because walking around without an emergency fund, ladies and gentlemen, is like walking in the city center naked. Yeah, I said it, naked. Anything could happen to you at any given time and you would have zero defenses. And so I believe, and I strongly believe, that every single person must have an emergency fund. And what exactly is that? I've talked about it here on this platform and on my Instagram. And that's basically a savings account where you put up a minimum of up to 6 months of your total living expenses, that in case anything would have happened to your job or your ability to make an income, then you have a financial cushion around you that could create a buffer while you're figuring out what to do next. So if you're not going to start saving for any other reason, start saving because on the bare minimum you need that. Something else that should motivate you intending to keep some of the money that you're making is because you need things like sinking funds. Sinking funds are also other savings accounts that you would ideally use to save up for short-term projects and non-monthly expenditure. Now, we don't pay school fees on a monthly basis, but probably quarterly you will pay school fees. You may not pay insurance on a monthly basis, but once a year you probably need to pay for your medical insurance or for your car insurance. You need to plan for things like Christmas, wardrobe needs for your family, upgrades either on your work things like laptop and your phone, or even home upgrades, improvements, saving up for business capital if at all you want to start a business so that you can increase your sources of income. I mean, the list is endless as to why you need savings. Okay, and so if you do find yourself in a situation again where you've already ticked box number 1, you're making money, and then now we've come to the second tip, which is keeping some of the money, and you realize that, listen, coach, I actually have nothing left. Once I take care of all my monthly obligations, I have nothing left. I have 2 things that could assist you here. There's only 2 ways to go about it. Number 1, you either need to cut your expenses or your costs. So you probably need to move to a smaller house or a much more affordable house. Probably drive a more affordable car, right? Cut some of the luxuries from your budget. Like there's option number 1, again, which is ideally minimizing or reducing on your expenses. And then there's option number 2, making more, right? Because there's absolutely no way you will get to financial freedom or you will multiply money when there's no money that has been saved so that we can actually do what? Grow and multiply it. So those are some of the things that you need to pay attention to. And remember, there's something I said when we started. You need to give yourself the privilege to be a beginner in your financial journey. What do I mean? It wouldn't make sense if you take the little money that you have with 0 emergency fund, 0 savings to cater to your short-term expenses that are probably on the way in a couple of months, and then you get this really big deal or good deal that your friend is telling you, put your money in crypto or put your money in forex and you're going to multiply it. That is actually a very risky way to go about multiplying your money. There's actually steps that you should take before you start taking certain risks with your money. So again, as we've said, make money. Keep some of that money that you're making so that you can have your emergency fund, your sinking funds, have enough money left to pay off your debt. And then finally, multiply that money. Those are the 3 key steps. Make money, keep some of that money that you're making, then multiply the money that you actually kept. All right? And so what are we saying? No one ever saved their way to wealth or financial freedom. I know we think saving is a good thing, and I can assure you it is an absolutely beautiful thing. You'll probably do very well if you focus on actually saving most of the money that you make. But in order for us to get to financial freedom, in order for us to get, and what exactly is financial freedom, guys? It is that I have put systems and structures in my finances in such a way that if I do not want to, I do not have to work, because these things I have put in place are actually generating income that could pay my bills and sustain me in the long run. That's the whole goal of financial freedom, okay? And so for us to achieve financial freedom, just merely making money isn't enough. Just merely saving that money is not enough. We need to multiply that money. And the best way to multiply and to grow your money is to actually invest your money. Someone once told me that money is only valuable when you put it to use. If I have money in my pocket right now, that money does not help me. But if I put that money in a financial asset or an instrument that gives me a 9% interest rate per annum, I'm putting that money to use, and that money is eventually going to make me more money. And that's how you grow your wealth. But remember, it has to go step by step by step. We've said that you gotta make money first of all. The second thing you need to do is that you need to create a cushion around you. So save up to pay debt, save up to have an emergency fund, save up to be able to take care of your short-term to medium-term projects. And then with the remaining money that you have, and I know some of you are probably watching me right now and they're like, is there any money remaining really? This is why we said focus on increasing your sources of income, because sadly this is the reality that most people, or rather my colleagues, are not talking about, is that there is an income problem. And as long as you have an income problem, some of these things, in order for you to execute them, it's going to be very difficult, or it's going to take a very long time before you can start seeing results in some of the things that you're doing with your money. All right. And so we are saying that you need to actually look at avenues to invest your money. And if you have, if you're new here, or if you haven't seen this video, I have a video on this platform where I've talked about investments you can make with as little as 5,000 Kenyan shillings. Okay, so I'm going to link the video down below just so that you can have a couple of ideas of where you can invest your money, because with as little as 5,000 bob, even 1,000 shillings, you could actually start investing the little that you have left after you've taken care of all your obligations. Now, most people are afraid of investing their money, as much as they know that investing your money is the only key, or it's the only way you will actually grow your money. So if you're afraid of losing money investing, I'd like to bring something to your attention. Whether you are afraid of investing because you will lose money or not, I would like to bring to your attention that you are already losing money if you're not investing it, because inflation is doing its thing on your uninvested money. What exactly is inflation? Inflation is the rate at which the prices of goods, services, and commodities go up every year. Now, assuming that the inflation rate in Kenya right now is slightly above 5%, this tells you that the rate, the prices of goods, services, and commodities is going up by 5% every year. And I want you to ask yourself, at what rate is my money growing if it's seated at home in cash? At what rate did my money grow by this year if it's uninvested in a current bank account? So at the end of this year, as long as you have left that money uninvested, you're actually worse off. Because even though it still looks like your 50,000 or the 30,000 that you put in there, you've actually lost money in terms of purchasing power, because what that money could have done to you at the beginning of the year, given inflation at 5% per annum, isn't what that money will get for you next year. All right. So if you're afraid of losing money because of investing, you are already losing money to inflation. So educate yourself. And this is actually something that I would like to also, when it comes to multiplying your money, don't just run to investments because there's hype around it. Get expert advice and education on the investments that are available. Okay, look at your personal finance goals and try match. All right, try match your goals to the investment options that you've already been educated about, just so that you're not choosing investments because someone has told you, or because someone you know works there, but because you've carefully educated yourself about that investment option. It serves your financial goal, and so you're taking it up. This is one of the things that I do as a personal finance coach. So if you're interested in getting one-on-one coaching services, whether that is on your budget or investment options, I'm going to link put a link in the description box, and just click on it, and we can be able to share with you how we go about the coaching, the rates, and everything. All right. The other thing that you need to know when you are working on multiplying your money is that it is important to have a long-term plan. And no matter how big that long-term plan is, you need to be able to start small and to start now. One of the worst things that I see people do, or you can do for yourself, is actually postponing investing, either because you're waiting for money to come in, or rather more money to come in. As I've told you guys, we have options where you can invest with very little money. Okay, and so don't wait until you have 100K to invest when you can start investing with 5K. Compound interest is a good factor of time. And if you want to get ahead of your journey, sometimes you will wait until you know 7+ years have passed, and that actually puts you at a disadvantage, because the later you start investing, the more money it will take you to actually get to your desired financial goal or desired financial independence number, as opposed to if you had started early. And that's why I love to talk to people in their 30s and in their 20s, because you guys don't realize that you have the biggest advantage ever, which is the advantage of time. If I wanted to get 50 million at the age of 55, if I start at 25, I'm at a much better place than someone who started at 45, just because I have the advantage of time. So try as much as possible to start as early as you can. Another thing you need to pay key attention to when you're working on multiplying your money is to diversify your investments and spread them out across low risk investments, medium risk investments, and high risk investments. Never ever put all your eggs in one basket. And by that I mean, don't put all your money in just one investment. Most importantly, don't put all your money in just one investment firm. So ensure that you have your money market funds. If you have 3, you can have them in 3 different companies. Ensure that you have your SACCOs in check, you have your brokerage accounts in check, you have your high yielding savings accounts in check. Like, try as much as possible to spread out your risk. So don't just take all your money and put it in Bitcoin, or all your money and put it in the stock market, or leave all your money seated in a bank account. It does not make sense, guys. All right. And then finally, you need to be consistent in your investments. Application of this information is the only thing that makes all the difference. So having head knowledge about it and not doing it will not make a difference. So you have to apply this information, and you have to apply it consistently in order for you to start seeing results. Now, in conclusion, in an age where microwave age, where we want things done right now, and we want quick money, I'd want to also remind everyone who's watching me right now that the best way to get rich is to actually get rich slowly, because that is what is sustainable in the long term. So in your journey to do these 3 things, which is making money, keeping money, and multiplying money, avoid questionable shortcuts. Shortcuts will always cut you short, and if the deal is too good to be true, more often than not, it is actually too good to be true. All right, so I wish you all the best in your personal finance journey. Now, I have a couple of resources on my website that would really help you to be able to apply some of these things. One, I have the Legacy Budget Tracker that is specifically designed to help you to be able to budget for not only just your your bills, but also your savings, investments, debt repayments, projects, and all that. So click the link that I'm going to put in the description box to buy the budget tracker at 550 shillings only. If you are interested in getting personal one-on-one coaching with me, there's also going to be a personal finance coaching link in the description box for you to check it out. And I also would like to bring to your attention a group coaching class that I'm having this month on the 18th of February, or that's going to be on Friday from 7 to 9 in the evening. So if you're interested in getting in the group coaching class, I'm also going to put a link in the description box with all the details to get into the group coaching class, where we are going to talk about personal finance planning for 2022. Thank you so much for watching. Remember to share and to like and to comment, and I'm gonna see you on the next episode of Finance Friday.